Okay, good afternoon and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. Iyun to Lean On. Today we're doing Simon Kufay and Zion and Shulchan Aruch Yomi Orachayim 177. This Simon talks about making a bracha on food during a bread meal. Let's say a Shabbos meal, or eating bread. You're establishing your meal on the bread. So you have to make a bracha for things. So the Shulchan Aruch basically says if it's things that come to strengthen the bread, which basically means to sustain you, right? Bread fills you up. You're eating meat, you're eating fish, you're eating chicken soup, right? Potatoes, those things are filling you up. Even vegetables, right? Those things you don't make a bracha on because you don't make a bracha rishon or a bracha achrona. However, if you eat things like figs or grapes, right? Those things are not lafes benesapas, it's dessert type food. So then you make a bracha rishona, but not a bracha achrona. The Birkas Hamazon exempts those things. So my question was a case that came up many times in my life. I used to go to my grandmother, lived in Borough Park. I live in Queens. I grew up in Queens, Hillcrest, Queens. I used to go to my grandmother fairly often on Sunday evenings, Sunday afternoons, Sunday evenings for the afternoon, and we'd eat dinner there. And she always served cantaloupe or grapefruit. Grapefruit I never touched. I hate grapefruit, but cantaloupe I liked. So cantaloupe was after the bread, before the second course or the main part of the meal. Right now, the bracha on cantaloupe was hadama. If you don't know, honeydew also she would serve. Honeydew was also hadama. Here in Israel, they just call everything melon. But these types of things, you have to make a bracha or not. And I asked this question to a lot of people because if it's considered like grapes or something like that, like a fruit, so technically you have to eat bread with it, right? You have to start eating it with bread and conclude eating with bread in order not to have to make a bracha rishona. So I was told to be machmir. I think no. The first time I asked my Rabbi Yaakov for it, and he said, no, that's part of the meal. It's part of the meal. That's the way people do it. They serve an appetizer of cantaloupe. You don't have to make a bracha. And then for some reason, I wasn't convinced with the answer. And I went again to him. And I didn't remind him of what he said the first time. I remember what he said the first time. I don't know why I went again. Sometimes, you ask a question and you're like, weighs on you. Your Yetzer Hara gives you guilt and says, maybe I can't rely on what I heard. And then Rabbi Yaakov Friedman gave me a different answer. He said you should try to eat some bread with it. So um, I think that's what I try to do because I try to listen to the. But I was always in my mind. I'm like, I never actually went back and asked him. I said, what do you mean? You said 2 years ago the other way. But that's the way it is when you're younger. You don't have the audacity to go back to your Rosh Hashiva and say, wait a second, you're so serious. You don't go back to your Rosh Hashiva and say that. So I wasn't sure what to do. I never was sure, but now I'm sure. And it's very clear over here. It says the word Yerokos, vegetables. And Yerokos, I would say, even though people want to call it melon, they want to call it a fruit. It's not a fruit. A fruit is something you make bori prates on. A vegetable is something you make bori adam. And I think that's really simply what it comes down to. Um, if it's a vegetable, right? As I mentioned many times, I believe the purpose of fruits is to produce good drinks and sweet desserts, right? Usually, either artificially or naturally, you're gonna incorporate some fruits into your dessert or your drinks to make them taste good. Vegetables, not so much. Vegetables are generally meant to enhance your meal, to accompany your eating, right? You serve string beans with your chicken on the bone and your rice at the Friday night meal, the classical Shabbos meal, string beans, or you have potatoes or something like that, or sweet potatoes. So those are your racos, those are vegetables, even though some people might call them fruits. And it depends on the bracha, and that's really what melons are, bori pri hadama. Anything is bori pri hadama. I think that's what it would come down to, even though you can say really something that's sweet, but no, it's meant to accompany the meal. That's what it is, and therefore it's like your racos. It's vegetables, and you wouldn't make a bracha on it. You don't have to eat bread with it. That's what I would say. Um, the question is something like a banana. That really is something which where I'm a little hesitant to issue my own psak, even though it's not a psak halacha because I'm not a rabbi. But bananas generally, all good drinks have some banana, and then a lot of bananas used to accompany a lot of desserts to make desserts taste better. You put banana, cream, and chocolate. I don't know if I ever see a banana cream and chocolate, but I was reading Curious George to my kids, and they went to the chocolate factory, and one of the chocolates had banana cream in it. Of course, that was the favorite of Curious George because he's a monkey. Um, Banana, a lot of here in the drinks here in Israel, strawberry banana drink is very popular. Banana and ice cream split, with the banana. So it's used to accomplish. You have banana in the middle of the meal, even though the bracha on banana is hadama. Would you make a? I would venture to say it is. I mean, even though yes, bananas are um, are considered are used to sweeten a lot of drinks and to provide accompaniment for desserts. I still think the bananas because we make hadam on them. That really basically establishes that it's a vegetable and not a fruit. um, and because it's a vegetable, so therefore, and the bracha is hadama. So therefore, you probably wouldn't make a bracha if you had mashed bananas in the middle of your meal. The proof to this is that you take a bowl of Cheerios. I used to grow up with Cheerios, and you put some bananas in your Cheerios. I really like that, right? That was accompanying the Cheerios, right? Same thing with I think strawberries are also hadama. Strawberries also, because strawberries also you put in your cereal and things like that. So strawberries and bananas, even though people think they're meant to be desserts, really they are vegetables, and it's all determined based on halacha. What bracha you say on them, you say hadama or you say ha'etz. If you say ha'etz, it's not part of the meal. If it's hadama, it's part of the meal. It's come malafis b'azapah to accompany the meal to make the meal, the food taste better, as opposed to make the dessert or the drink taste better. Dessert, we know you have to make a bracha. We'll talk more about that going forward. Dessert, you have to make a bracha on a bracha rishona at least. Drinks we'll talk about more, whether you have to make a bracha on drinks during the meal. That's the conclusion of today's shir. Hope you enjoyed. See you on the next one.